Hello everyone, today we'll talk about the solution to the problem maximum distance in arrays. Feel free to pause the video and read the statement. Since we want to select the two values from different arrays and take their absolute difference, the first observation is essentially that an absolute difference between two numbers is the bigger number minus the smaller number. Of course it's 0 if they're equal. Another thing to notice then is that we want to essentially select two numbers, one as big as possible, another as small as possible, because they maximize the absolute difference. And the only stipulation is that they cannot come from the same array. But since we want them to be, respectively, the largest and the smallest possible, then we don't care about most values in a given array. We only care about its maximum and its minimum. Right? So in essence, one way to see it is that if we select from two arrays some two values that maximize the difference, so let's say we select this value, and this value is big, this value is small, then if there is anything bigger here, then we can just change this big value to an even bigger value and increase our absolute difference. So this has to be the maximum in this array. Same thing here. If there is something smaller in this array, then we can change this to something smaller and the difference will increase. So in other words, whatever two values we select, they will be either a maximum or a minimum in its own array. So we can transform arrays into just a pair of maximum and minimum. And now we have to make sure that we just look for the best pair among different arrays. And the easiest way of doing that is to go through arrays one by one. Looking at the current array, we take one of the values from the current array and one of the values from the previously looked at arrays. So in essence, we iterate over the second array that we choose and we pick a value from it. And in that case, we will be essentially thinking about all the possible pairs, and of course then we'll find the best one. So to get the maximums and minimums, we just map max and min over the arrays. And now we start with the maximum and minimum being the maximum and minimum of the first array. So we just manually call next on those generators given from map. And then we iterate over the remaining values, the remaining maximums and minimums. So we zip them together for ease of iteration. And before we update the previous max and previous min with the current values, we see if we can improve the result by taking the current maximum minus the previous minimum, or the previous maximum minus the current minimum as the result. So the fact that we first update the result, then we update previous max and previous min, makes sure that we do not take two values from this array that we're looking at currently, but only one value. And at the end we can just return the result.